This is
Is it this?
It is this.
Okay. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Live long and prosper, all you sons of bitches.
We totally didn't forget about Star Trek Day.
Do you tuck the thumb in or do you hang it out?
This.
Like Hawaii style?
Live long and prosper, yeah.
Or do you do this like, wait.
You definitely don't West Side it.
I'm gangsta. West Side!
What did you just do under the camera?
I had to fold my fingers because I can't do it. So I have to do this. And then I am West Side! Which we are. We are West Side. So
oh, Jude, it's so good to see you. Kim, it's so good to see you.
The
Richard
camera moved on
Bennett,
us again.
of
Keep
course.
going, baby.
Sorry. So you guys, we have a different show today. As you know, this is a live gangster Q&A. We're going to do 2 of these. I'm about to do an intro. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. We are still going to chat with you guys who are live in the chat room. We'll let the folks who are going to listen to the podcast know that this is a thing we do. And hopefully they will join us. You are welcome to ask questions in the chat room, but I will tell you, these go a little rapid fire. So if you have a question and it didn't get asked, I would love it if you would send it to info@emptyset so that I can get it in next week's, because we're gonna have 2. We're gonna have one next week as well. We have 50 bajillion questions. So we're going to get right to it. So I'm going to restart right here.
All right.
Like we normally do with Story Smack. If you're a Story Smack watcher, Rob, Auto Movie Maven, just joined the
He
chat
won't be
room.
here for long. He
won't.
He doesn't want to get any spoilers.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to start
Scott
the
Lynch.
whole podcast again right now in 3, 2. Hey everybody, this is the first Q&A episode for the podcast for the Gangster.
West Side.
Ooh, at scottsigler.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us. If you are joining us live at facebook.com or twitch.tv or youtube.com, go ahead and ask us in the chat. Questions in the chat. If you are hearing this after the fact and you want to send in questions, and it is either Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday, what's today? The 8th, 9th, 11th, 12th, or 13th of September, you can go ahead and do that. If not, you'll just have to send them in, and we'll answer them on our live Sigler in
and
Place.
the questions you ask in the chat room, we'll try and get to those, but we have an enormous amount of questions already.
So many questions.
So your question has probably already been answered. And Joshua, the answer to that question is SHAMBLAZING. Shamblazing.
So I will tell you guys also right now, every Siglerverse
Steph
Q&A,
Harvey.
every single one is a 100% spoiler zone.
Yeah.
So any of these questions could spoil any of the Scott
Spoil
Sigler
your face,
books.
spoil your diet, spoil your relationship, and your mama will slap you if your mama's still around. If your mama's not still around, go slap.
My mama
write
can't
it down.
slap me this week, but she'll probably get back to that pretty soon if I screw up.
Yeah, okay.
I think so. I think so.
Nobody wants a go slap from mama because that's just
Nobody wants
There's nothing
that.
you can do.
I will also tell you guys this. If you haven't finished or started The Gangster, and I absolutely have never said this before on a Q&A, but I am saying it now. If you haven't finished The Gangster, please wait on this. You'll get spoiled in the biggest way. And it's so fun not to get spoiled.
Turn it off and come back.
If you
There's big
haven't
stuff.
and you don't, I don't mind being spoiled, but if you mind being spoiled, this is going to spoil. There are questions about the end of The Gangster, so that will spoil you. So that is your spoiler warning.
I think I got an interesting quick question out of Tracy Shank. Would Darth Maul be a good Stone Wolf? Let's talk about that briefly. I think being a good killing machine, yes. The power of the Force, helpful. Super.
Well,
you drop a paperclip on a mission, who's going to pick it up? Darth Maul. Just picks it right up. Nobody's got to bend over. Nobody throws out a lower lumbar.
although
It's
he
great.
does need a lot of room in his bunk for accoutrement.
Yeah, a lot of makeup
So-
going on, you know?
A lot of that going on, so
Yeah.
I'm not really sure about that
Yeah, I
part.
don't know. That's the biggest drawback is, you know, his, got to go back to main. Is the makeup thing always going to be going on, or can he wipe that off and go incognito?
Well, and wait a minute. Do we know that it's makeup?
It's makeup. It's got to be makeup.
No. I mean, obviously it's makeup in our world.
But
in
you're
their
saying
world,
you're saying it could be face tats.
yeah. Or,
He's like the Tim Comerford of faces in
I mean,
the Force.
technically speaking.
That's a deep
if-
cut for you Rage Against the Machine fans. Thank you very much.
And technically speaking, if Darth Maul was Red Man, I would totally understand that.
Yep, there you go.
I really would. That's a spoiler, by the way, for his short story, Red Man.
Radimus says face tattoo. All right.
So
We'll go with yes, he'd make an excellent Stone Wolf, and they will be recruiting soon because there are some positions available. Let's just say that. Let's go to the first question, baby.
Okay, so Max Spinners. This is just going to be a whole bunch of questions, you guys. So let us know. Max Spinner asks, "What are Librand and Patrick doing right now? If you had to guess." This is a spoiler for
First
Fitzroy.
of all, you guys, I think you may see our lighting looks a lot better, and we didn't change the lighting. We got a new app for that, and it's called, in case anybody's curious, I already closed it. I'll look it up later, but I'm pleased. It looks great. It looks
great. You
great.
look great too.
I look like a walking cadaver, but
No,
now
that's not
with
true. Not
now
with
with a
your beard.
mustache and a beard.
Yeah,
a
no,
bearded
beard.
walking cadaver.
It's a lovely mustache. Lovely beard.
Let's see. What was the question again? What are interesting? The first question is not a gangster or a GFL related question.
I know.
What are they doing right now? I can't tell you because hopefully I live long enough to be able to show you what they are doing right now. So the answer to your question is can't tell you. Spoilers, but probably drinking and screwing. That'd be. I'm pretty sure.
I figured it would
those
be
two
like that. They have been through a whole lot. A whole lot, you guys.
They go to physical therapy 3 times a day to try and fix up all their injuries. And then they're like, let's just take a bunch of Vicodin, get some scotch, and knock one out. Then they go to sleep by like 9:30 because, that's what they do. It's a good life. Sure. It's a good life.
Okie doke. Let's see. So we've got a handful of short ones, and then we have a handful of junkies who really did a deep dive.
I've got a handful of a short one. Does that count?
That we're not talking about.
Sorry.
Okay, so we're going to ask a few of those. Mark Willoughby says, "Is Tentacles, Tentacles, and More Tentacles your first story? And if not, what is the earliest memory of a story you wrote?"
Not counting BSing my parents all the time, constantly, I believe Tentacles, Tentacles, and More Tentacles was possibly the first story. The Monster Under the Porch, that came a little later. That was more advanced. And somewhere in my notebooks, I have a picture that I drew of a 55-gallon oil drum of radioactive waste with a mouth and a tongue, no eyes, and big giant feet. And there was a story about that. I can't tell you if that came before or after Tentacles, Tentacles, More Tentacles. So we're gonna go ahead and say TTAMT was my first official story.
Okay, so because you brought up this sort of folds into that, Jason Lombardo asked, in the GFL timeline, which book should be read first, The Gangster or The Stone Wolves?
Okay, this is a very good question. This is the kind of stuff we're looking at. Yeah, Peanut,
before you answer, I will say The Stone Wolves is not quite yet out, but we're working on it. So obviously, if you've read The Gangster, you've already answered that question.
But timeline-wise, and Big John Viscar, continuity czar, and I were going over that today. And originally, my vacillation about that was wanting to give you guys, the long-term fans, the biggest possible treat. And we went over and over and over it because there are such huge reveals in The Gangster, if you read that first, that are completely unexpected, that it's great. But then there are some things that are talked about that sort of dull the edge of what you would discover if you read The Stone Wolves first. So we flip-flopped on it a number of times trying to figure out what made the most sense for you guys. But since they came out when they came out, very soon they will both be out. And I believe the best way to experience the GFL is the order of books maintained by Big John Viscara, which is over on Siglerpedia. Mm-hmm. And that would necessitate, when you get to that phase of the GFL, you go The Champion, Stone Wolves, The Gangster, and then it'll be GFL Book 7. So,
as yet unnamed GFL.
As yet unnamed. It does steal the thunder from The Gangster a little bit, but I think when you guys get to consume the Stone Wolves, you will probably think that the Stone Wolves ending is pretty fucking spectacular. I mean, I've had not to brag. Ego swelling. Okay, not to brag. One of my signatures to my style of writing is big time cinematic over the top endings, and the Stone Wolves blows them all out of the water. The only person in this room other than us who knows the ending is Steve the Iceberg Rickyberg. Is Big John in the house?
I think Big John is in the house, but
Big John and the Iceberg
just said the Steve Wolves. I just called it the Steve Wolves.
The ending of it is salt on the elbow, chef's kiss. I have outdone myself, You guys are going to effing love it. So
Morg, it's
there
so
you go.
good to see you.
All right.
Shane, it's so good to see you. And Ginny, it's so good to see you. We are not doing our normal show. This is a Q&A show. If you guys haven't, if you're just joining, this is a Q&A show that'll be podcast this coming Sunday for the Gangster. It is actually a spoiler for every single thing in the Siglerverse, so be forewarned. We're going to do our best to give you information about that.
All right.
Okie dokie. Sean Dyer, thank you so much, Sean, emailed in a question that said, about how many books do you currently have on the back burner as only outlines? I love this question so much. Look at him.
When you're a young adult, you stress about many things. Example, will I find true love? Will I find a hookup on Dollar Bear Night on Tuesday? Will I pass this class? Is the teacher going to rat me out for the weed I left in the gym locker? There's a lot of questions that bring a lot of stress to your life. Then you move on to early 20s. Will I be able to keep this job? I just accidentally deleted all of the company's files. Am I on the unemployment line? These are the stressing points. And eventually you go on and then you have reasons for stress. My stress now, I get so stressed, I get winded playing chess. It's just all of the books that I have lined up that I already know I will not get to if I live to be 100 and don't come up with any new ideas is a lot of ideas. So how many do I have outlined right now?
I mean, don't open
I'll bring you up a little bit so you don't have to be so close.
Yeah, thank you. Don't open the whatever that is, that database. I can't remember what it's called now since it's not
Sigler
been
Story
there.
Ideas.
No. What's
Ninix.
Ninix.
We use a database called Ninix.
We used to put all these. This is how far back we. Two things. There are two anniversaries this week. I'll say really quickly. One, Mr. Sigler.
Yeah, anniversary. What's up?
You and I met 13 years ago this week.
Fabulous. Yeah. Ninix.
And two, I think it's Iceberg. Tell me, is it 10 years this week that Iceberg started to work with Scott? Here, you want this?
Yeah.
Yep. And sorry, you guys. Here, just give it to me.
We are not eating on camera this week.
But we are bumblefucking with the drinks.
Bumbling around with drinks.
So also, I think it was a Dragon Con in 2012 that
9 years ago for
Steve,
the Iceberg.
Yeah, Steve. I think it was on Sunday. It was at Dragon Con. I know it was in the Hilton lobby. He said, I was stressing because I had to figure out how to tell Scott. I think I deleted many of the files for the MVP. I think because my initials are AB, but I was also abbreviating audiobook AB, and I cleaned up my files before I went to Dragon Con, and I think I erased half of them, and they were audiobook files, not AB files.
I think we've all done something that drastic.
Yeah, I deleted most of the files.
You farting corksucker. And do it one time.
Absolutely unbeknownst to him, Ricky Berg sees us in the Hilton, like hanging out, just like normal. And we're in the Hilton lobby, and he says, "Hey, you guys, I have an engineer. Like, I am an audio engineer. I have education and degree. If you guys ever need the help." And I am sure he thought I was about to murder him because I went,
"Help me, help
and
you."
that's how Ricky Berg came to save the GFL.
I would like to point out that we met Steve Ricky Berg in 2012. The same year, a very bad movie by John Cusack came out called 2012. I don't know if that's coincidence at all. There was an Iceberg in 2012, though. What? West Side?
Okay, so we have more questions.
Shannon.
Let's get back to them. We have, let's see, Esme Silva, also a lovely name, Esme. From this moment in your career, what 2 or 3 big picture things would you advise new writers to focus on as they start out?
I just had a lovely sit-down meeting with the keyboardist for the band Superweapon, Austin Farmer, who is also a writer. So a lot of the stuff's fresh in my head. One of his big questions was, how much effort do I put into promoting my first book? Do I do a countdown? And the answer is, don't do jack shit. Don't do anything. You write the book, you put the book in the store only after a book for your first 3 books at least, probably your first 5 if you do an indie thing. don't lift a finger to promote until the book is in the store and people can give you their money for that book. Trust me on this. Everything you do to try and hype up that first book release, nobody gives a rat's ass who you are. You haven't proven yourself. None of it matters. It's all a waste of your time that you could be spending editing, writing, hiring a cover artist, hiring an editor, making that as good as it can be, and then learning how to market it once it's online. So that's the biggest one, is just take the marketing thing and take it off your plate. Off your plate, put it over on the side. Don't worry about that at all. Worry about writing books, putting books out. Once you have, and this is what A and I have learned, once you've got 5 books in the store, when people first find you, everything changes. Because if they go to your page and you have 1 book, they're like, 1 book. Yeah, how good can she be? She's got 1 book. And they don't think this, but that's a subliminal thing.
And I also think they may have picked up that book in a, if you liked this, you'll like this, so they didn't look you up.
Okay.
And then when they look you up, they're like, 1 book?
Yeah.
That might also happen.
Life is short. Money costs money. I coined that phrase, Maria. Money costs money. And people are going to try and buy a proven commodity. So the faster you get to 5 books on Amazon, the more likely people are to have that other subliminal thought, which is like, ooh, 5 books, she must be awesome, and then give you a shot. So those are the 2 big things. And I would say the third biggest one is, you guys, let's talk about masturbation just for a moment. For a moment. I believe we've all had a parent, a aunt and uncle, an adult figure who at one point in our teens dropped the line, if you play with it too much, it's going to fall off. In the chat room, if you've ever heard, if you're going to play with it too much, it's going to fall off, go ahead and put some kind of an emoji of genitalia. Throw it up there. Let's see what we got. It's the same thing with books. There are people who will spend, I've been working on this book for 10 years. Good. You are not a serious commercial. You are not a commercial artist. A bookseller, a commercial artist, an entertainer is someone who puts products out. Thanks, Samort. Someone who puts products into the marketplace so that people can consume those products and enjoy them. If you're going to spend 10 years on something, you're an artist, and that's awesome. The world needs many, many artists. Have a ball, do your thing, be a genius, win an award. It's all great. What you need to do is write the best book you can in a timely fashion. Get it edited, rewrite, edit, put it up for sale, start a new book, put that up for sale. Those are my big 3 right there.
Okay, you guys, I am so sorry. I have been
Nice,
hysterical laughing, and it is not about that advice. That advice is terrific advice.
Wow,
but
Al,
right before...
Well done, Al.
That's what started it. Right before Scott, remember, we're doing this live in a chat stream, and right before he told you what the 3 things you should do, he asked people to talk about whether or not put in an emoji about masturbation, and it's a little crazy.
There's a lot of good emojis going on right now.
So all of my laughter had nothing to do with his advice. All of his advice is really, really good. I will add one more thing.
I'll add. When you're done, I'll add one for Marlo.
Okay. As a creative adjacent, a person who might be able to help you get your books out there and seen and wide, often what happens to the writer is that they've spent all this time by themselves writing the book, and now they're like, cool, I got to get it out there. I got to get it out there. I got to get it out there. But the reality is, any dollar that you choose to spend on hiring an editor that does not know you personally is a 10-time return on investment than that dollar being spent for marketing for your brand new property. Get somebody who doesn't love you to look at your book and tell you what's wrong with it.
Right.
That is the only way it works.
2 things. Number 1, Stephen Travis is apparently into, electrical clamps on the nipples. Solid choice. Solid choice. Marlo says she has a few partly written books and a few short stories. The other thing, the 4th part of my advice is finish the goddamn book. Do whatever you have to do. Finish the book. You have to finish it before you sell it. Anybody can just start writing books all over the place, finish, sell. It will never be perfect. It will never be as good as you want it to be. I am pretty sure every writer thinks most of their books suck donkey balls. You're never really happy with it. It could always be better, but life is short, and you got to get that stuff in front of people so you can entertain them. So do what you can, finish your book, move on to the next book. Finish the book, move on to the next book. That's it. Hey, Aaron's in the house. Aaron Esteves in the house. What up, guys? Hey! Aaron, West Side. Okay.
Okay, so I'm actually also about to add into the chat room now the link to the episodes of So You Want to Be a Writer
Well done,
that
Tom.
Scott did a handful of years ago that answer some of the super basic questions
Yeah.
about you wanting to ask a writer the very basic questions about writing. So that would be a good good
Let's hit
question.
the next one, and we'll come back if we can come back to
Yeah,
maybe
actually,
come back
we're
to
gonna.
Sean's. Do
Yeah,
Sean's
that's
right now?
Yeah, do Sean's right now. It's a
Okay.
great one. GFL Q&A question:
Yep.
About how many subject matter experts do you have in the old Rolodex for various subjects? One second. If you're a millennial, a Rolodex was literally a physical file of business cards, which you also don't receive anymore.
What's a business card?
Exactly. So it was literally a physical thing you had on your desk to look up. Oh, this is a scientist. This is a medical person, or whatever.
Okay, Boomer. Great job. Love it. All right. So I would say in the right now I have, let's see, you guys were very happy. I just talked to one of my secret agents who is, two of my secret agents who are Navy vets in different levels of expertise in that area. One is Scott Pond. The other is, I'm not sure I should say. I don't know if
It's
I
up
should
to you. You're always allowed to name your secret agents as long as they know they're secret agents.
Yeah, they know. Joe Root.
Oh, Joe Root is absolutely a secret agent.
Well, he is, but Joe's very.
But he knows,
Joe's
and he
very
knows
secret.
that-
Like JP Harvey, we're not sure if Joe's actually Iron Man. Just isn't.
No, I
telling
am
us.
sure that Joe is not Iron Man because I am sure
JP Harvey is Iron Man. So I've got, those two, of course, Chris Grawl, who I've been talking to Chris and Joe a bunch in the past few days regarding stuff. I'm starting to mentally workshop for the crypt. JP Harvey, JP Harvey and Pond and Grawl, real side story. They told me at the last Siglerfest, they were sitting back at the back table when we were doing all the singing, and they're sitting like in the shadowy area, and they're all like this. They're all like, what if we kidnap Sigler and we make him write the crypt? It's been 10 years. What do we got to do to get him
We
to
could
write
do
the
it.
crypt?
We have skills.
Nobody's going to miss him. It's going to be fine.
Nobody's going to know. We'll take the girl too.
So let's see. There's
fine.
those four. Then I have, and some of these, unfortunately, with my addled brain, some of them I haven't talked to in a while because we haven't had a need for those books. But the New York Police, retired New York police officer, firefighter, Mike Cole. Yeah, the author Mike Cole was huge in Aliens Phalanx and stuff, and a lot of.
And speaking of, do you want to mention his? He just published.
Oh yeah,
he just published
the Bronze Lie.
The Bronze Lie, which is debunking the myth that the Spartans were unstoppable. It's legendary.
Horse.
It's
pucky.
Amazing.
You're wrong, Mike Cole.
Nope.
You're wrong.
Hey, Jamie Anderson, nice to see you.
All right. So I would say, but then there's a bunch of people with specific bodies of knowledge in the scientific field. Dr. Daniel Baker, PhD, is one. So I'll put it right at about 15. There's 15 people that I will go through an email and say, hey, I need to know a lot more about a nuclear fusion. And I got like 15 minutes. Can you just hurry up and write me off a treatise on that?
I do think that's true. I think that there are about 15 routinely accessed secret agents. And these are people who know broad stroke, very specific things, but can speak in a broad stroke way about national defense or weapons. Or Dr. Joe Albeets in Denver is somebody that Scott goes to for cool. I need somebody to be cut with some sort of blade and die in 4 seconds. How do we do that?
Yeah.
And he does the opposite. So this is a spoiler for Ancestor. There's a scene in Ancestor. Is there a scene in Ancestor where Gian tries to kill herself still? I think there is still.
Yes. And she doesn't finish the job.
She doesn't.
Though.
She can't finish the job, but the way that happened is Scott wrote a whole scene about what he thought based on his knowledge. And
based on movies.
Well, right. I mean, Scott's a big movie buff, but he's also he does quite a lot of research, but he kind of looked on, figured out what he could figure out, watched a whole bunch of scenes, wrote a scene, sent it to Dr. Albeets, and Dr. Albeets, who is going to laugh at me that I'm calling him Dr. Albeets, number one. But number two, sent it back like, oh, that is so great and so
wrong. So wrong.
Not possible. And figured out a way to do the thing that Scott wanted to do. So that happens a lot too. I will also add that there in the Rolodex itself, there are about 15 secret agents. There are probably about 30 people in the Rolodex with highly, highly, highly specialized
bad astronomer.
Yeah, bad astronomer's a secret agent. There's also, like, for Fitzroy, there was a very, very specific how sound bounces through rocks underground guy. And he's probably not going to be accessed a whole lot, but he's absolutely a guy
we've got a lot to cover. So I'll see if I can rattle off the people, the disciplines I had just from Mount Fitzroy. There was a guy who actually climbed Mount Fitzroy, set the speed climbing record for Mount Fitzroy. He was very helpful. We had the gentleman who was still a PhD candidate, not a PhD yet, who invented a subsonic communication system so he could send sound waves down into there.
That's the guy I'm talking
about.
Yeah,
and both of these gentlemen who are named in Mount Fitzroy, not named in the book, they're named in the credits. They, I just hit people up out of the blue. And for new people, I need some general knowledge on this thing. For the veterans, no pun intended, like J.P. Harvey or Chris Grawl or Dr. Albitz, I'm like, I need this to happen. How can you make this happen so that people like you won't think I'm full of shit? So they get delivered these puzzle boxes right to their door all the time.
And I will say just one more thing, and we'll move on to other questions because there are many. There are also some folks, and he just mentioned them, they're folks he goes to all the time for sort of body trauma, for weapons, for machinery, things like that, like J.P. Harvey, like Scott Pond, who he literally will write a scene as he thinks it might work, and then he'll send it off for them to say, okay, got to account for this, you can't do that, this doesn't work like that, things like that, so that they're working from something specific, and that gets them to their goal sooner. But that's because they've been working together for 10 years. So that kind of works that way.
Yeah, we no longer have to have the conversation let me explain to you how the military works. Don't care. I'm writing a thriller. I need this thing to happen here to make the next 4 things happen. And when they get it, they see it. They all seem to really enjoy it. They really enjoy getting that puzzle. All right.
Let's move on. I've got 3 rapid fire questions. If you
go.
think you can do them in a rapid fire way, you want to do that?
If you think you can handle it.
Brandon Pinard asks in rapid fire. First one, does writing energize or exhaust you?
Both.
Okay. Number 2, does a big ego help or hurt writers?
Immensely valuable. Don't have imposter syndrome. Just assume you are the greatest thing that ever walked the face of the earth, and you'll get through things.
And expand this a little bit with one of the first things you ever said to me, which was nobody joins a beauty contest.
Oh, and I have a lot of friends who are writers who have imposter syndrome. It's pretty common in entertainment, very common in the writing industry, but you often will get people trying to promote their book, but here's the thing I wrote, literally tweet, here's the thing, if you want to see it. That's horseshit. I'm telling you, that's horseshit, because no one ever entered a beauty contest thinking that they weren't beautiful. And no one writes a fiction novel, thinking that they are the worst writer in the history of mankind. Their stuff is terrible. People get into writing because they're like, I want to tell a story, and I think I can tell the story pretty good. So just the fact of finishing a novel and submitting it to publishers is a pretty confident move right off the bat. You're farther ahead than most people are. Yeah, so sure. You're full of swagger. You just don't know it, Karen. You're full of swagger.
Last Brandon Pinard question. Have you ever gotten reader's block?
What does that mean? I'm
going to assume it means, have you ever either not been able to pick up a new book or not been able to finish a book?
Oh my God. Well, I still have a lot of trouble with finishing a book because I paid money for that book, and then you just want to see, this is so terrible. I just want to see if the writer pulls this out at the end. But I've also, as I get older and realize I don't need to give up those 8 hours that I already know I'm not entertained. It doesn't mean the book is bad. That doesn't mean the book is good. I am no longer entertained. This has become a chore. Put it down, move on to the next one. So
now, when that happens, when you're a writer, you work really hard at that. You're like, this is all garbage. I'm redoing it. He does that. I've seen him do that. In one of the books that we have worked on together, he sent a first draft into his editor. The editor sent it back. He read those comments and the book itself and was like, you guys, this is bullshit. I'm like, there's no you guys, it's just you. And he rewrote it all because it didn't make sense to him. That's as a writer. As a reader, I don't have the ability to keep going when somebody has lost the thread, but he really does. He tries really hard. Let's see. we'll ask a few more short questions and then the big in-depth questions. So spoilers are coming.
Okay.
Let's see. Glenn Banks asks, how do you balance work/life/family/chores, and I don't know what chores means, now that we are not just working from home, but spending all our time at home?
It's always been a problem for me. It's a problem in this relationship. It's been a problem in my past relationships, is that, it'd be nice to put a shine on this and say part of what makes me the writer that I am is going down these obsessive rabbit holes. But there's also, I'm very distractible. I'm very ADHD. That's the right term, right? It's ADHD. Very ADHD. And I can, I can glance off to the side, see a thing, and before I know it, 20 minutes have gone by because I'm focusing on why are the bell jars called bell jars? And how much fluid would that actually hold? I'm going to measure it.
Anything to do with a bell?
It'll only take me 2 minutes to measure this. Then I'll get right back to the writing, and a half an hour will go by. So that is a perpetual problem. What combines with that is I am the person everybody wants to take to the prom because I don't know how to say no. So here's a project, and I'll do all these projects, and I go all out at everything I'm doing all the time. My hobby is a band, and I spend a lot of time banging away on that band because my idea of fun is to keep trying to make things the best they can be all the time. And what happens is when you've got 7 projects going on at once, and your home life can definitely take a hit. And we've had conversations where we've basically spent 2 hours together this week. I'm like, you're so full of shit. And then you look at we spent 2 hours together this week. So the OCD, ADHD part of things, I have to be very careful of it because it can run away with me super easy.
And I'll say also, Scott mentioned specifically, he's like, it's kind of a blessing and a curse, so I have to watch out for my brain. And I posit that Scott's creativity is Scott's creativity. And the way we get the books that we love as junkies is that his brain works the way it works with everything else. Now that is me speaking as a junkie. I will be honest and say it's sometimes difficult. I'm trying really hard. Scott is very open about his ADHD diagnosis, very open about the demons that come with that and working through that. And I will say, if you guys have a writer in your life, a creator in your life, someone with ADHD or neurodivergence in your life, one of the things that you can do, and I'm still learning and I'm not great at it, is understand that just because you think that way, that might not be a thing they see going in. And if you insist that they work your way, you might lose all of this. And I am unwilling.
A shiny bald cadaver.
And I am unwilling to lose the creativity that Scott's mind gives him. At the same time, honestly speaking, sometimes I don't understand it's not a spectrum, it's a Mobius strip. It's quite literally, we got to do this all the time to make it work. And I forget that sometimes. And I blame him for things that don't happen in his brain that happen in my brain, which is unfair. And that's everybody who's neurodivergent. So I would stress, if you're a writer who's trying to make peace at home, if you're a person who loves a writer or an artist or musician or whatever,
a lot of musicians
any creative, any neurodivergent person, we've gotten a lot better since I realized, oh, Jesus, I'm asking him to be me. And you know what I can't do? Any of this. I can't write a thing. I can't. So I don't want that. And yet sometimes I ask for that. So I would say this. One of the things about that is a balance, and it's kludgy, but in my experience, it's always worth it.
Yeah, I think we should probably do a whole episode of SIGLERinPLACE on this, because there's so much that goes into it. And a lot of times, we'll say this quick, we'll move on. The solutions I have for I've gotten too distracted with too many projects, I now need to go in and map everything, evaluate everything, calendar everything, and kind of rebalance everything. So when you get the love of your life going, we haven't spent time together, let me get out the calendar, let's go to work. And she's it can feel so impersonal to have someone I'm going to calendar this. But that's the way a certain brains can work. So there you go.
And he said a very interesting thing there. He said, a different brain might see that as like, oh my good, I just, yeah. But what happens a lot for both of us is he's like, oh yeah, that's not going to work for me, and I don't get it, and vice versa. But the reality is, the more you can remember that different brains work differently, and every brain is good. Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe not Jeffrey
Hitler's
Dahmer,
brain was shitty. We can all agree on that.
There are people who are broken from society, but other than those people who are sociopathic, every brain is a good brain.
I'll give you guys an example. I just wrote a book in my head just now from what A just said, and I think it would be fucking awesome. Like that's part of the blessing and the curse of the whole thing is I'm like, okay, wait a minute. What if we took a bunch of people who are really damaged by society and we sort of like connected their brains together into a net brain and wrote some programming so that, you know, this part works and this part doesn't, and then shit goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
I'm like, that'd be super fun. But okay, let's go.
But the other part of that is every
Robin.
every neurodivergent person in your life, almost assuredly, because there are very few sociopathic people, every neurodivergent adds joy and beauty and grace to your life, and you just have to be willing to hear it. And I work really hard and sometimes screw it up a whole lot to do that. Anyway,
all right, next question. Here we go. Moving on.
Haley Dubois asks, I love this question, what behind-the-scenes tidbit in your life would probably surprise your readers the most?
First of all, the name Haley Dubois, that is a fantastic name. I like that a lot.
Right?
Read it again, baby? I'm going to make sure I get this right.
What behind-the-scenes tidbit of your life would probably surprise your readers the most?
Gosh, that's a really good one.
I also have an answer, but I want to hear yours first.
What? I've always been so communicative with y'all about the stuff that's going on. And those of you who are the old school fans of like since I was not published and racking up to do this. So what would surprise you guys the most? Probably how frustrated I get trying to sing. In singing lessons, I get super mad at myself.
That's not a bad one.
I guess that's the best one. So go ahead.
I would say the thing that is, for me, the thing that I think that might surprise you, and if you have one of me, you're welcome to say it, that might surprise readers of Scott's books if they don't know him personally. And you guys probably know him personally if you're here, but I think that answer is something sort of like this. Scott hates human suffering. In every aspect. He hates people who lost their dog. He hates people who lost their leg.
I don't hate the people.
No, sorry. He hates that people lost their dog. Sorry. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, it's that one. He hates people who he hates that people get into a car accident just trying to do a nice thing and they lose their leg or something. Like any amount of true human suffering that is
random
is also dog suffering, but that's all.
I can't handle dog suffering.
Like all of us, he's like, it's hard for him to accept that good things happen to bad things happen to good people, and that I think would surprise with the amount
stuff I write. Yeah, for sure.
With Kayla Myers,
yeah.
you might think like, ooh. But that's actually very difficult for you to deal with, I think. And since I told Tales Out of School, if you have a thing you'd like to say about me, you can.
I can't think of anything. You're perfect. What are you going to do?
Oh, come on. Let's see. Okay, let's go into a few really deep dives.
All right, let's do it. Super fun.
Kurt asks, as a quith, does Tarrant the Smasher, spoiler for the GFL, does Tarrant the Smasher suspect what might actually have happened in the end of the Gangster? Huge spoiler for the Gangster.
Yes.
But would not speak it aloud due to quith cultural taboos.
That's a very good point. And Tarrant the Smasher is one of my favorite characters in the series now, because Tarrant the Smasher, of course, was an all-pro linebacker, and I don't think he ever won the big one, but he was a banger and a dangerous person. And now that he's aged out of that role and is retired, he applies all of the intensity that he applied to his on-field acumen and becoming the best player he can to becoming an actual, genuine journalist. He He comes off as a very comedic character in the first, Galaxy's Greatest Sports shows in the first few novels. But hopefully that's one of the many layers of subtext in the series as you start to see Terry the Smasher start to elevate his skill and start to get more and more scoops. And also, frankly, he is the journalist that we all wish we had in America and all over the world.
Every single time.
He gets
like,
the story.
that is not the truth.
He tells it how it is. He doesn't give a damn. He doesn't care about your political aspect. He's like, this is the truth, and I will report the truth. And he has become he's one of my favorite characters. So I forgot the question, but that's my answer. Pretty sure.
Would Tarrant the Smasher know what was happening?
Yeah, he's sniffed that in the air, and we will see in future books if he chooses to pursue that or if he follows his cultural taboos, which those of you who've read The Gangster are pretty severe. And like I will say, I'll give you an advanced spoiler. The Quith taboo against laying eyes on a female of the species, that is not something they overcome. That is not something people will just forgive Quentin for. It's a full stop, man. You lay eyes on a female, you're dead or they're dead, one of the two.
And you feel like you have betrayed your species, I think.
There is a genetic compulsion to eliminate anyone outside of the species. So it's a very speciesist element. It's a very culturally specific element. And that's one of the things I play with, along with like Sklorno cannibalism and Quith workers never being able to, have any rank whatsoever. It's one of the things I play with of we try and be accepting of all cultures across the earth, but there are some cultural elements in some cultures that are diametrically opposed to other cultural elements. And when that happens, who gets to win? Who gets to be like, this is the correct way to do a thing, it's the correct way to treat people. So I try and play with that a lot in the GFL series of setting up these diametrically opposed cultural views where each person thinks the other person is not just wrong, but evil. Yeah, I think the other person is evil. And then seeing where that goes with the story.
Nicholas Burke asked a whole bunch of questions.
Kim asked why. It's explained. It's explained throughout multiple books in the GFL. So a lot of the species biology in football and a lot of the species biology breakdowns, which I am sure a lot of you may have skipped, like the very dry textbook stuff that happens between chapters. You may be like, it's okay, I don't need to know that. I want to get back to that. I want to get back to Quentin. It's all threaded out through there. Everything is explained. Unlike Lost, when they say questions will be answered, everything is explained. Good.
And I would, this is a perfect moment. I'm not trying to get you to buy more stuff, but this is a perfect moment that if you have purchased every hardcover but haven't downloaded the ebooks related to those hardcovers, you might want to have those even if you hate ebooks, because that becomes an encyclopedia. You can download them all to whichever your e-reader app is, and then you can go use this search function and be like, hey, Quith Concordia or whatever, and learn a little bit if you need to. Yep. And that will pull up all the things in the books, I think.
I think eventually we will take all the textbooky stuff and all the color inserts and eventually put those into one kind of reference tome for people to go through. So, well, we're not there yet. We've got a lot of stuff to do. Hello, Jen Sherwood. Next question.
Okay, so this is Nicholas Burke. He asked, there are several folks who emailed a whole bunch of questions. I'm going to flip around between them, but these are all very, very inside Siglerverse. So you've been warned. Nicholas Burke asks, in GFL/Generations trilogy, so spoilers for both, the galactic timeline references the givers and the collectors without a lot of detail. Is there any link between the givers, the collectors, and the grub species?
I'm not allowed to answer that question this time, Senator.
It seems like the signal from the grubs gives details on travel technology, similar to the givers providing faster than light technology. It also seems like the forced symbiosis of the grub has some similarity to the collectors subjugating the
This
key.
motherfucker paying attention to these books.
And perhaps starting a certain pandemic on Earth.
Oh my. I cannot answer this. Senator, it depends on what the definition of is, and I cannot.
Nicely done.
I cannot answer these questions at this time.
All righty. Okay, let's see.
But I tell you what, when I finish the GFL series, you will have a book boner that looks like many of the emojis we saw earlier.
Godfrey Lee, also spoilerific. If Quentin had a regular wedding, if he'd been able to have a regular wedding, do you think that trench warfare would have performed had Quentin asked?
Getting married at Lambeau Field, how is that not a regular wedding? Renting out all of Lambeau Field for a wedding? Seems pretty normal to me. Would he have had trench warfare? Oh my God. Look, no offense. Are you kidding me? When he actually dated what many people consider to be the hottest human woman in the universe, is he going to have her get up on stage and sing to his new bride at her wedding? No. And no one's that dumb. No one is that. No heterosexual man, as dumb as we can be, is that dumb.
Almost no one is. He's saying heterosexual male, but I don't think any of that is true.
I can't speak for others, but I can say this.
For me, I can speak as a bi woman. No.
That would be like A had dated John Legend for a while and lived at his mansion and stuff, and they, had a big thing going on. And then we get married, and she's like, "Can John Legend come and sing in my wedding?
I would love him to sing all of me. It's not about me.
And can he sing it right to me? I get up on stage. Can he pull off the garter and throw the garter? No. None of this is going to happen. Motherfucker can't come to my wedding. No. Send him a card. Can't come. Can't sing. No.
You're beautiful. Not coming.
There you go.
I do love that question, though. I'm not going to lie. Captain Comic says this. This is a huge spoiler, you guys. He says, I'm waiting a second because it's a huge.
It's a lot of gravitas.
I only spotted what Gridoka intended a few minutes before it came up.
Nicely done.
But I was immediately reminded of the time Gredok gave Quentin a tracking bracelet, and Barnes asked, quote, "Does this mean we're going steady?" End quote. Is this an intentional flashback or just a coincidence?
That is just a coincidence.
Oh my God, just a coincidence.
But very, very well done. I will know, from now on, I'll lie and say that was intentional. But for this cast, I'll tell you that was a coincidence.
I think all of that is true.
Shane Burton Shaw, you might be dumb and you might be divorced twice. I'm pretty sure you did not invite a screaming hot metal chick that you dated to sing at your wedding to another person. I'm going to throw that out there as a guess, but let's go.
And Kim Hansen, yes, all of your exes showed up at your wedding, but did they sing a love song to your...
Did they look like Scarlett Johansson with a mohawk? No.
I don't think they did.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
So I love that question, though. Let's see.
I can't get John Legend as your ex-boyfriend out of my head. I think that's great. All right, here we go.
Let's see. Let's take an easy one.
Right.
Stephen Travis, I think. He's in the chat room. I know this. He says he has two questions. The second one is super fun, and we're totally doing it. It's a rapid fire one. But the first one is: Are the special lines of color new to Quentin, or were they always there? It seemed like the slow motion ability was always there, but the color lines only appeared after meeting the Prawat. At least I think so.
Okay, since we're in spoiler land, there are some things I cannot tell you at this time that will become apparent as the series finishes. But in a certain manner of speaking, they have always been there. Just to take that off your plate, there was no triggering event with the Prawat that made those lines appear. The Prawat are not part of the lines of power.
Robin, I am not denying that John Legend is my ex, but I've only dated 5 people in all these years, and still not gonna not deny that, but it's probably not true. Okay, the fight, the super quick rapid fire.
Okay, let's go.
Fight matchups by asked by Stephen Travis. Number 1, Brian Clauser versus Joe Ledger.
Brian Clauser versus Joe Ledger. That's a push, man. That's a toss-up.
Yeah,
Joe Ledger is a seriously bad, highly trained motherfucker. Brian Clauser is genetically gifted and has speed and strength and senses and instincts that Joe Ledger can't have as a regular dude. So I think that is, if they have 3 pay-per-views, it's going to be 1-1 and probably a draw on the third one.
And I will tell you guys ahead of time, these are all Ledger versus Sigler, or Mayberry versus Sigler related. Emma versus Ghost.
Oh, Ghost.
Oh, Ghost. Yeah. Emma is gorgeous, and Ghost is a killer. Come on.
Emma's sort of a cuddly that can sniff out killers. Ghost is a killer. Ghost all the way.
Okay, number 3, Joe and Ghost versus
we're talking
Brian
about a
Jonathan
Mayberry series, the Joe Ledger series. In case you guys don't know, if you haven't read it, go get book 1.
Go get book 1.
Do it right now. Do it right now. If you don't like it, I'll pay for it. Good.
Me too. Well, you can read the first 2 and still hate it. Last one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, this Joe and Ghost versus Brian and Emma.
Oh, Joe and Ghost versus Brian and Emma? I still think that is I think out of five falls, I think that's going to be 3-2 for Ghost and Ledger. I think Brian is in a straight up physical brawl, probably going to win more often than not
100%.
because of what he is a superhero. That is my, if superheroes are real, street level shit going on. But Ledger and Ghost, also Brian can't hit dogs, man. He can't bring himself to do it.
And not only that, so Ghost is quite literally a trained killing dog. And Emma is a house pet. And I adore Emma. Don't get me wrong, but she's a house pet. So there's no chance. Last one, this is my most interesting one to me. Aunt Sally from the Joe Ledger series versus Hillary from Nocturnal.
Hillary from Nocturnal. Well, we got to figure out what phase. That was a spoiler. Shit. Well, we'll go and say it. What phase of Hillary's life? Hillary's not really. She's got some of the Z chromosome, speed, strength, healing ability, bloodthirstiness, all of that stuff. That's all there, but she is, to put it unlightly, she is a breeding queen. She is not a combat-oriented queen. She's not the xenomorph aliens queen. She's more like a termite queen, and termite queens are not really, they're not brawlers. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. But I loved that question. Let's see. Okay, good. So here's the thing. We almost always go to 90 minutes. We have not discussed this beforehand. How do you feel about this? We normally do 90 minutes.
I'm in. Also, these people are such, they're butter over sugar. Should we show them this?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so we're going to do 2 things. First things first, we're going to show you a video question from one of our great good friends who we met when we went to Europe on the 2017 book tour. And after that, if you stick around for that question and answer, we're going to show you something special that does not exist.
Ryan Winkleman, you're talking about, sorry, let me get the chat room up. You're talking about Killian's ability with the lines of power, I believe. Mm-hmm. And Radimus says, promise a book boner at the end of GFL. How will it compare to Brian Clauser walking from a nocturnal dream, waking from a nocturnal? It'll be more girthy, more turgid boner. It will probably be, frankly, let's talk about boners. This will be the most painful, swollen book boner that you've ever had in your entire life. And I will stake my reputation on that. Your book underwear will never fit the same again. That is what we're talking about. I've been working on this shit for 25 years. I guarantee you, your stretched out underwear from your giant book boner are going to go up on your wall on a frame. And when people come over, they're going to be like, why do you have underwear on the wall? You're like,
underpants?
And you'll hand them the rookie and go, read this. And you will eventually understand.
Stephen Travis, I have read all of the Joe Ledger books as they came out. I love Jonathan Mayberry, and yet I also binged all of those books this year because they feel good to me, because they sort of know what's going to happen. So first things first, we're going to have a video question, if we can get this done, from Boz.
Bear with me, guys. We'll try and get the sound dialed in. This is Boz. And Boz, I did cut up. Boz... he's a liar. He says I asked for a horizontal video. I did not. I said vertical nonstop. I guarantee it. Go find the cut. But we're going to hear what this man has to say. He's a delightful dude. Let me make sure I get the volume on. Baby, can you just kind of monitor this if it's too quiet?
Sure.
Hello, wonderful Siglers.
Perfect.
It's Boz.
That's his echo, not
I'm a
mine.
bit confused, because up until last week you said you wanted vertical video syndrome, and then on last week's SIGLERinPLACE you said landscape. So you're getting landscape. This isn't good enough, then I'm going to have to cut out shameless self-promotion and make this vertical for you, so let me know. So, Q&A. First, the gangster. No bothers about the book. When I get it, I get it. I'm happy. I put it with the collection. It's
Nice.
fine. It's fine. As long as you sign it. Because apparently, this is supposed to have a signature. Hasn't got one.
It's a good looking
You know what the
jersey,
bad
sir.
news is? That means I have to come and see you guys because Scott, you've got to sign this.
Can't wait.
Anywho, question, the gangster. I tend to always ask a question that about 50 other people ask, and this is probably going to be no exception.
Okay.
But I have to ask, where did the name Gibble-Jawats come from? I love that word. It gets stuck in my head. Like when I was learning Spanish, I used to get word of the day, and there'd just be a word rattling around my head all day. After I listened to the gangster, which is just like, Gibble-Jawats. I know you've got stuff like Bumper Puff and all those funny names, but there has to be an etymology to this word, and I need to know what it is. So, love you guys, love the book, can't wait for the next one. I am forever hooked, and as ever, may the force be with you. Bye.
I watched first part of that video. I did not see the lightsaber. I did not see the lightsaber coming. Also, good emoji for what we were talking about earlier. Maria, just roll with it. No, that's a completely made up word. There's no etymology. I just kind of throw out syllables to try and come up with the Qwith language. I have not gone full Klingon with this. There is not, you cannot take a Qwith language course. I am never going to do that. I'm not going to hire an artist to come up with a Qwith written language, as like they did in Hellboy. It's just a few words here and there, a few smatterings here and there. They are consistent through the book, but no, those are completely made up words. So there you go. I think that answers the question. And
It does.
Boz, love you. You're awesome. Hopefully we get to see you again someday. It was super fun. Let's go.
Okay.
Are we right now? You want to show them the thing? Because it'll follow us up nicely after Boz.
It's going to be great.
Okay. So, bear with me. I am going to have to expand this.
We'll also
so you're going to
say
have to lean out. Yeah.
Emailed 2 of you today specifically about this.
This, you guys have been waiting for this for a long time. I'm going to go ahead and show it right now. And this will be the 2687 Krakens. Oops, how do I do that? Don't know. Oh, I got to slide this up. The 2687 Kraken jerseys, ladies and gentlemen. And these are the actual football jerseys, meaning they've got room for shoulder pads. They're just like the ones Boz was wearing. They're not stitched. They will be dye sublimated, so it'll be one smooth surface, which achieves us it's a certain economy of scale. We're not going to get into it right now. We'll do an episode on it later. But
it's also like the McMurdo Murderers jersey if you have that one.
yeah, it's like the McMurdo Murders jersey. They're super cool, super neat. We're really looking forward to it. I haven't got one yet, and I get the first of everything, you sons of bitches. The other great thing about this motherfucker is this. I got to tell you this.
Oh my God.
I got
you
two.
guys.
I got 2 more things to tell you, and then this may make you poop your pants just a little bit, a little poopy in the pants. Here's the away jersey, and the best part about the away jersey,
I mean, I have to buy 2 jerseys?
well, at $80 a pop, $85 a pop, not counting shipping, baby. I mean, they're very expensive. We're talking about 160, 170. But wait. What if I can go in the back room and talk to my manager and see if I can hook you up with a deal that you can't possibly say no to? And that deal is the home jersey, the away jersey. They are the same jersey. These are absolutely reversible. So you get an away jersey, you get a home jersey for one low price of $82.95. That's right. Plus, we'll throw in Ron Popeil's Burn Your Skin Popcorn Maker. That's
We're not
right.
doing that
Are
part.
you tired of having full coverage of your epidermis all across your body? Let Empty Set Entertainment step in and solve that problem for you. We'll burn a good 25% of that right off, and then you can cover it in your reversible jersey, which also doubles as a full FDA-approved bandage for burns. There's Buzz
Nicely
again.
done, Buzz.
So that is going on, and then we are also working on Nicole dropped a holy shirt balls. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Salt on the elbow. We are working on
Also-
one. We are working on one that is going to be about half the price, and that is like a regular shirt. It's a fan jersey. So it's a fan. If you guys are familiar with fan jerseys, it doesn't have room for the shoulder pads. It's a fan jersey. It's a little shorter. It doesn't go all the way down. So it's about roughly half the price. I haven't determined whether those are reversible yet. We will find out. We're working on that. The only difference will be they don't have the 3 black stripes.
Yeah.
Which, do you know what the 3 black stripes are for?
I don't.
Yeah.
Players killed on the field?
No.
Titles one?
Team, city, planet. That's what they're for INATH. Team comes first, city comes second, planet comes third, but all 3 are super important. I don't know. Probably dropped a big elbow on me and killed me. I don't know. We have a LinkedIn user. Somebody is actually watching the stream from LinkedIn,
Hello.
showing up as LinkedIn
Danny.
user who also caught the reference and says, "Be excellent."
And you guys,
wow,
if
you guys
you
are so
know-
great. My God, West Side.
If you know me, you know I'm a huge Bill and Ted's fan. On Keanu's birthday, we watched, what is it, the music?
Oh, Bill and Ted's Face the Music. Delightful and horrible all at the same time.
Insane.
All at the same time.
Cute though, so cute.
We won't talk much about it. We should do a story smack on it later or something. It was so heartwarming and fluffing up of the soul to see those two guys, to see all the references to the original one, all the fun stuff they put in to celebrate what a lasting testament that movie has been to that time in American history. And at the same time, what a goddamn train wreck. It was just like, holy cats. And then I admit I did this. I'm like, oh, geez. I'm embarrassed by this, ladies and gentlemen, but I'll say it to you. I said, man, this is, I mean, you take a thing like Bill and Ted and then you give it to some bullshit screenwriters. You want somebody who actually knows the source material. And then we get to the end, see the screenwriters. Who are these guys? Look them up. They're the original screenwriters. They fucking
so good.
They fucking wrote Bill and Ted.
So good to see
I
you
got
out
a
there.
pie of hubris smashed right into my very knowledgeable, so I thought face. It was very embarrassing.
So we have 67,000 questions
All right,
to
let's
go
go.
through, so we're going to move through these a little quick.
Let's go.
Again, this
Rock.
one and next week are going to be 90 minutes long because we always do 90-minute Q&As. Michael Pietro, MD, asks several questions.
Go.
First, Michael Procopio.
Procopio, yeah.
Yeah.
He's been around forever in a day.
Yeah, for sure. We will ask the doctor's question in a moment. Michael Procopio asked several questions. One, did the Audible exclusive experiment work, and should we expect more Audible exclusives?
Audible exclusive experiment for Mount Fitzroy. And, instead of putting a book out and gradually collecting money for that book, this was like, here's some money. Now we're going to put the book out. I don't know. Our goal with Mount Fitzroy was literally, if we do this, we'll sell more copies of Earth Core, because Earth Core is our big bread and butter. And so I think I'm not sure whether it worked or didn't work, but we're definitely going to do it again without question, because we got to put more data into the system to see how well this works.
And I'll add, from my point of view, which is different than Scott's, so far the experiment is going fine. There's not a lot of data to collect right now because we don't have access to all that information like we have access to our own information, so we have to gather over time. What I will say is this. In the pandemic, you guys have seen it yourself. You know that it was way easier to get Mount Fitzroy than it was to get the Gangster. You watched it happen. I'm still trying to get you the hardcover book for the Gangster. So yes, in one way, in this world, getting you entertainment to keep you sane, if this is your choice, is a very good thing. And that was very helpful. We got totally lucky with that. We didn't know there was going to be a pandemic, no matter what Scott is about.
Short answer, A and I are actively trying to get out of the printing book business and send that off to other people to print the books so that we spend more time in the writing of the books business. That is what we are working on. It may take a while, but that's what we're going
for sure.
Next question, baby.
So let's see. He also asked, what is the director of Doom reading? The FDO reading is always in his newsletter, and I want to know. I will say I'm not a good source for this. I reread things I love, and then I try things that won't matter to me. So I read essentially what we would maybe call beach reads a lot, just to keep me busy during the day. And those are all like girl does good wins, fails, wins, eventually wins, something like that. But I will tell you, I crazy love several series. I love, as I mentioned, I love Jonathan Mayberry's Joe Ledger series. I love, love, love Richard Kadri's Sandman Slim series. I absolutely love Kevin Hearn's Iron Druid series. And I just recently, just like Scott did, which was in his recommendations, read The Power by Naomi Wildman, I think. Something like that.
You talk, I'll look it up.
Yeah, so I like series. I also have read the Dresden series, and I like
Naomi
it.
Alderman.
No, Naomi Alderman. I like it. I don't love it. There's some flaws with that one, but I still have enjoyed it and read every one. But I just, the Sandman Slim, the last book in the Sandman Slim series just got published last Tuesday. And I love that series so much. And Richard Kadri has told us that this is the last book, that I can't start it because I need to be in a good frame of mind since it's about to be
treasure.
over.
Becomes a treasure.
It's a treasure to me, even though all of those series are flawed. Just like everybody, there's a thing that you might not resonate with, but those are the ones I love. I read a huge amount of nonfiction, but it's very specific to me, so I'm not going to talk about that. But if you haven't read Joe Ledger, if you haven't read Sandman Slim, and if you haven't read the Iron Druid series, and you like Scott's books, I would start there. I also loved The Armored Saint and that duology from Mike Cole. I loved it, and I love Weston Oaks. I love Peter Klein's. I love Paradox Bound. It's so in and out, but it's fun.
On pre-order for me, Helldivers 8 by Nicholas Sansbury Smith and the new Joe Abercrombie book, which is the new Joe Abercrombie book is how I reward myself for all my hard work. When I get Joe Abercrombie in, that's fuck all y'all. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this shit. Dude's a master. Next question.
And in print. He buys those books in print. He loves them so much. So that's a great recommendation. I will say Michael Procopio ended with totally fine with audio only. I have all the signed books, but Audible only. I have all the signed books, but I don't read them. I only listen. Thank goodness almost everything eventually comes out on audio. And please keep what the FDO is reading coming in the newsletter. I really appreciate it. So I'll say we love the idea of Audible only in general, but we also want to make sure we're always striving to have the ability to eventually give everybody the method that they want to read. So we're going to try and do that too. I don't know how much luck we'll have with that so far. With Fitzroy, you can buy Fitzroy as an ebook or a print book on December 3rd of this year. And I don't know if we'll always be able to do that, but we were able to just delay the release of the other versions by a year. And that is wonderful because everybody gets what they want.
Okay. Next question.
When will we, Michael Pietro, MD, says, when will we see the crypt?
Okay. So, very soon, at least in Scott years, I will say that we are in negotiations now for a book that we didn't expect we might be able to be writing. We are also at a point in our career, in our company, where we are now far more empowered to say, no, thank you. That does not work for us. So if this deal comes through, and it doesn't look like it will, I'll be honest, that will push the crypt out another 8 to 10 months, because this book, if I get to write it, it will be friggin' awesome. I love the subject matter. I can't say anything else about it. Had to sign an NDA. What? So we'll see how that goes. But if that does not happen, I am now 57% done with the second draft of GFL Book 7. I believe I had hoped to be done by the end of September with the second draft, but we also have to ship 2,000 books real soon, which I have to sign every goddamn one of them. You people.
And by which I mean
you people. So that will chew up at least a full week of our time, 14-hour days, at least a week shot, probably more like 10, 14-hour days all in a row. And so the odds of me getting it done by the end of September are not looking good. But as soon as GFL 7's second draft is done, that goes off to Big John Viscar, the continuity czar. And then I will write the first draft of The Crypt Book 1, and I can't friggin' wait. you guys, a lot of you are not going to like it. There's some metaphysical shit going on. There's some awful, awful people doing awful things to other awful people. So, like the GFL sort of has a kind of happy sheen on it. That shit's gone in the Crypt, son. It's straight gangster horror. It's going to be awesome.
So Ryan Winkleman 7 does not have a name you can hear quite yet. We absolutely need to ship the Gangster before we talk about another book, and that is coming in the next few weeks, so that's good. I will also ask this question because it relates from Joseph Aldred. Joseph Aldred has been a friend and a fan forever, and he asks a couple of great questions, so I'll ask. I'm curious about your second draft process. You keep telling us word count on social media. However, what does that mean? I know it is tracking your place in the story, but what are you doing when you sit down to work each day? What are you doing when you add more words? Are we talking sentence by sentence recrafting? Are we looking at the elements of contents of a paragraph and rewriting it to ensure a clear picture as soon as possible? I had an art teacher in high school who told me every time I draw a picture, it will get better. Is that your version of a second draft?
Okay. This will chew up a little bit of time. Sorry about that. We're trying to get through these, but that's a good question.
Good. Yeah.
So, first thing that happens in a Siglerverse novel is the outline. And the outline usually goes through about 3 revisions. So I'll do an outline, send that to Big John. Big John will print out the outline, urinate on it, probably sacrifice a squirrel, smear blood on it with the words, this dumb. And that's all over the whole thing. Then he hires someone to send that back to me, this blood-soaked, urine-soaked outline, and I get it, and I feel shame. And then I go through and I look at John's comments on that outline, and then I write another outline, because usually it's, I am the visionary, I know where the series is going, but there are certain facets of it that I have snow blindness to because I'm just so deep into it. And John's very adept at being surface level, not only seeing my picture, but seeing what you guys see and what he sees as a fan too. So then we rework the outline. And then that outline will go to the secret agents as needed. So if there is, ship-to-ship military combat, that's going to go to Chris Grawl. Like, I need an aircraft that will do this in atmosphere, that's going to go to J.P. Harvey. And it also goes back to Big John Viscara. We beat up the outline, we dive right in. Then we write the first draft, and the first draft is a clown car shit show that everybody thought they bought the latest model of a Tesla. They drive it off the lot. Turns out it's a clown car shit show with hobos having sex in the back seat. It's a goddamn disaster. I don't know how else to describe it. When you actually write the first draft and then you get through it and read it, get some space from it, and come back to it, you, like Steve, Ricky Berg, will probably type in the comments exactly what I'm thinking every second I go through a first draft. And then I get to see the notes. And the notes for GFL 7 are coming from J.C. Hutchins, who was one of the editors, and Big John Viscara. There's a few notes from A, but J.C. Hutchins and Big John kind of did a tag team, drop off the big elbow off the top. There was no room left to poo on everything. So I'll go through that. So the second draft is largely going through.
Ricky Berg dropped it in the.
Steve's
who the fuck wrote
Steve's
that
in the
shit?
chat room. Who the fuck wrote this shit? That is the most common phrase in the world of Siglerverse. I want it to be perfect for you guys. It'll never be perfect, so I want it to be as close to perfect as possible. Because the time you give me, that's gone forever. And we take that shit super, super seriously. So then we'll go. The second draft is largely, now I have gotten farther on GFL Book 8 in my head. The Crypt, I have all the tie-ins. So as I go through, I'm like, okay, well, now I need this to happen, which wasn't in the second draft. So now I have to have this happen, so it ties into Book 8. And then we go through all of the comments from everybody. And then there's an enormous amount of texting with John Viscara, who's a huge part of what goes on. And a lot of like random questions. What if I did this? What if I did this? And usually John doesn't come back with an answer, but John will be like, okay, well, what about this? And a lot of times John's prompt will be like, oh, no, but there's this. So he's like the catalyst to make a lot of the plot points work.
Yep.
So the second draft is rewriting all the stuff, adding in all the new chapters, having a more solidified master vision of where the book needs to end, and then going forward from there. So it's rewriting every sentence, every paragraph, adding new scenes, deleting scenes, which I hate, and polishing it up.
And I will add one other thing as the creative adjacent here for you, Joseph, because I know you are a writer too. So one of the things that happens is at this point in these, I know, right? In these drafts, what's happening is he's gotten the story locked in and he just has to make it what we call street legal. He has to make it work. It has to work in his world for his readers. It has to make sense. So we just, at the top of this hour, we talked about, did Darth Maul have makeup on? Is that how his skin is? We're talking about the character, not the actor. How is that? Is that a red man thing? Is that just how he's born? Whatever. Those things are the things that Scott is literally picking apart right now. Okay, so if this is just how he's born, how does he get those straight lines? Like, that's not how, there's nothing in my person that is that symmetrical. How do we make that happen? If it's not how he's born, how does he get it? How does it stay? How does it grow with his skin? All of those things. He picks apart all that little shit. Sorry, Richard Allen, all that little shit. And makes it work so that if he were a reader, it would work for him. I'm not going to lie to you guys.
Very important to me.
Half the time I'm like, this is fine. And he's like, no, it doesn't make sense. Because there are some of you out there who are weapons experts. Some of you out there who are medical experts. Some of you out there who are birthing experts or mom experts or something. And he wants all of those things to resonate with all of you guys in the same way that me, who doesn't care about all that stuff, I'm like, oh, I'm fine with it. He wants you guys to be fine with it too. So sometimes it takes a long time. And we often find that the second to last draft, this one that he's going through, sometimes that second, sometimes that third draft, depends. That's the one where it can expand or contract by somewhere between 20 and 50,000 words.
Usually, second draft usually increases the book by 50%. Usually it's about 50%.
Yeah,
Third draft is the polished draft. That's where we go and we start to be like, you could work this sentence better, but the sentence still says the same thing. So, next question.
Okay, Jesse Sharrow, who you guys know is the captain of the San Francisco Police Department, but is actually a human being too.
Yeah.
Where is Pope Siglericus the 30th? Where is General Siglerissimo? Did you kill them? I have been waiting to see the plaid tanks in this timeline. I know what you did, Scott, and I'm watching you.
I would never kill my cousins. I love my cousins, as troubled as they can be, as problematic as they can be. I am not going to murder my own family. And my cousins are great. Pope Siglericus right now has received a communique from the Catholic Church, which has, by and large, I will summarize it, which says, maybe you need to lay low for a while. Maybe you need to find some people to hang out with. Stay out of sight. That's all I will say about Pope Siglericus. As for General Elfontaine Siglerissimo.
Elfontaine
Siglerissimo. There are more tropical islands than you are aware of, and he's doing just fine on his tropical island, where he is the grand supreme ruler and leader of the church of that island. He's doing fine. Of course, is it Harry Balls? Cousin Harry Balls? Yeah. From mom's side. Randy Balls.
Randy Balls.
See, I don't know my cousin. Randy Balls doing great.
From your mom's side.
Randy Balls is very, very butthurt. He didn't get the Jeopardy gig. Very butthurt. He thought he had it. He thought he had it wrapped up. It was going to be... Then it was going to become Randy Jeopardy. It was going to be a whole different thing. And then, of course, there is Mr. Merciless, who is the lead singer for the metal band Superweapon. He is flourishing. Merciless is absolutely
awesome.
Flourishing. He looks dynamic. If you've not been to superweaponband.com and seen the video for his song Battle Cry, you are absolutely missing out. Also, stay tuned to Facebook. He apparently is going to be on a podcast tomorrow for the first time ever as the lead singer of Superweapon. I will share that at facebook.com/Scott Sigler. That is hosted by Jack Mangan, which is a name you old school podcast listeners might appreciate. But there's going to be a lot of metal, and oh my God, the stuff that comes out of Mr. Merciless's mouth is just atrocious. No association with Empty Set Entertainment LLC whatsoever. Blood relative does not mean we endorse his views. Let's go.
So we got a couple. We only have not
Steve
8 minutes
Rickenberg,
left.
did you just drop the super weapon link? Oh my God. Hey, if you guys watch the super weapon link, my cousin has said,
Come on.
please subscribe because they're, this is squad goals, very small. Super Weapon is trying to get to 100 subscribers so they can rename their URL, youtube.com/superweapon. They're at 87 right now. They need to get to 100. We'll go from there.
Get it. Kurt, come on.
You guys listening at home after the fact in the podcast feed, we got a chat room which is full of very funny motherfuckers. And you guys should be joining us every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. A and I get up here and we do the shuffle dance for you all day long, trying to entertain your faces.
Yeah.
So at twitch.tv/GodSigler, youtube.com/GodSigler, facebook.com/GodSigler, and also LinkedIn, but who can pronounce that URL?
Twitch.tv/GodSigler.
Then what I say?
Yes, .com.
Twitch.tv/GodSigler. All right, let's go.
So we have a couple of short questions left, and then we're just going to hang out in the chat room a little bit with you guys because it's already 7:23. We're only doing 90 minutes-ish. So these are the short questions. Mick Stallings. Oh, hi, tiny girl. Mitch Stallings asks, share something that your readers wouldn't know about you.
I think Bring It On is one of the best sports movies ever.
I can't believe how fucking fantastic that answer was.
I love Bring It On. It is literally up there with The Replacements. It is up there with the Bad News Bears. Because when I watched it, I was such a dick. This only takes. I'm like, oh right, I wrestled, bro. I boxed, bro. I broke ribs. I broke a fucking thumb. I played football and had multiple concussions and would probably be a rocket scientist playing football, bro. I done the combat sports, bro. Yeah, I'll watch your goddamn cheerleader movie. Bring It On. I'm like, magnifique. Magnifique.
I didn't know he was going to say that. I thought he was going to say something about foods he likes or spiders, which you already know.
Bring it on, motherfuckers.
Let's go.
Fantastic. Let's go. Top to bottom.
So good.
Top to bottom. Brilliant movie. Love it.
Brandy Jones asked you, which character in one of your own books are you least likely to get along with?
Oh, least? Okay. Because the answer is always like, which one of your characters do you want to be? Pookie Chang. Done. Moving on. Which am I least likely to get along with?
You got to think about it. Instinctively, while he thinks, I will tell you my non-existent answer because I didn't write a book. But when I read that question, the thing I thought was like, Magnus, I think, because that motherfucker is crazy.
I like him.
But I thought instantly, like, no, he's not choosing him. He's literally choosing some Karen somewhere, I think, or something.
You know what I'm going to choose? Stop your grinning and drop your linen. This will surprise you all. Quentin Barnes and the Rookie.
What?
I have met that dude. I have hung out with that dude. I went to school with that dude in high school and college. I will tell you what, the first half of The Rookie is I have met that dude more times than I can count. And you know what? I don't like that dude. I don't like that dude at all.
Freaking fantastic answer.
Giant, very physically powerful, very talented, gifted dude who also is an extremely hard worker, which you always have to respect, but he's a fucking jackass and he's just a dick. And the only reason he gets away with being a dick is because he can whoop everybody in the room. I don't like that dude.
But he's also kind of a numbnuts. And I'm going to argue this point. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with Iceberg. I don't disagree with James Coleman. I don't disagree with any of you guys saying that he was terrible. But he's also like nobody's ever taken him to task before.
Nobody
right?
could. Yeah, he's the best.
Of course
he's
not.
the best at what he does.
Of course not. So what I'm going to say is your answer was so beautiful. In the Rookie. Mm-hmm. Because I literally answered that question. Like, why did you write this stupid book? Once a month. And I give you guys who are here after 90 minutes, you know this, my answer is always like 4 chapters. Listen to 4 chapters. If you hate it, I'll send you your money back. I don't care. That's no problem.
We got swagger. We'll do it.
We'll do that. And I've never once had to refund somebody. Not one time had to refund somebody's money, but a lot of people are mad about Quentin and the Rookie. A lot of people. And rightfully so. That's the point.
You know what the beautiful thing is? We have called out many fans who love Earthcore, Ancestor, Nocturnal, Infected, Pandemic, Contagious. They love this shit. And then they're like, I hate football. I hate jocks. I just hate it. I want more Sigler. And we're like,
Thanks, Adam.
buy the book. Give me the first 4 chapters. If you don't like it, we'll just give you your money back because we have giant invisible, here's our swagger. Flip it up over our shoulder, walk around with it.
Penis.
Yeah, this is our giant girthy penis. This is why I don't have imposter syndrome. You want to see my writing? Here it is. Boop, and then I walk around with it up on my shoulder. And every person we do that to will send an email after chapter 1, after chapter 2, going like, why are you making me read this? This guy's an asshole. We're like, that's all right. You know the back. Get to chapter 4, and not one time if we had to give the money back, not one time.
In 13 years. I just put up 4 fingers, but in 13 years. I have one more question.
Wait, real quick. James Coleman, which franchise, other than Aliens, 0. Don't want to write any franchises. I got what I wanted. I got my trophy. I'm good.
That's a beautiful question because we've answered this question
Thank
probably
you, Adam
6
Dinitz.
times.
Appreciate it.
Internally, and the answer is none. The answer is none.
That's all I ever wanted to do.
Part of Aliens canon. That's literally, I think if the King Kong franchise had endured, had that still been as relevant today,
they'd have to throw a lot of money at me. Because the stuff she and I were. Oh, did I interrupt? Sorry.
No, but that's fine.
The stuff A and I are working on right now that I am passionate about, not just because I think it'll be good, because I know you guys will read it 5 fucking times. I know this. It's in my head. It's so simple. To get me to go away from that, show up with a truck of money. I can write anything. I'll write anything you want. It takes a truck of money because I would rather write the stuff that I know you guys will fucking love.
And I will say we have been approached with at least 4 other franchises that every single one of you in this chat room are familiar with.
Oh, shit, Adam
That
Dinitz.
he's turned down. Nope, you can't. We're going to do that, Flintstone, unless you can answer it quickly.
Adam, I never thought of that. That changes the game. Continue.
Adam, come back next week. We'll answer that
Never
question.
thought of that one time.
Our last question for tonight, and please come back next Wednesday. We're going to do the second half of the Q&A. If you have questions, please email them. If you have time to readjust your schedule for 90 minutes, do that too. So the last question is from Peter Gibson. How do you celebrate when you finish a book?
Oh. Well, I believe I can summarize this. I wish I had some porn music to cue up.
I gave you the right stuff by the New Kids on the Block. It's not porn music.
That is...
Let me see. Brown, chicka, brown, brown, okay. Oh, brown, chicka, brown. Okay.
Wait, let's take a quick side note.
Very square,
Baby,
you guys.
Would you like a quick lesson on how to ad-lib porn music?
Yes.
Ready?
Brown, chicka, brown,
no,
cow.
No. That's the funny part. You want to be serious. You want to be serious about your porn music. First of all, you get close to the mic like this, right? I'm close to the mic. So you barely need to vocalize at all for the audible to come out, right? And then you'd be like this. So do that. Lower the volume. No chickawawa.
Oh.
Yeah. Now bring the volume down. Bring the volume down.
Let me try one more time.
Just say yes. Just yes. See, now I'm turned on. Okay. Sorry.
Let me try my way.
Sorry,
because I'm this square.
I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that coming. No.
Chicka wow wow. I can't help it. I gotta do it.
We'll work on
We'll work on me being
porn
sexy.
music. The finishing of a book involves a few things. Number one, when we hit the final stages of a book, the vinegar strokes of a book, if you will, there's so much that needs to be done to call a book finished. And that is the writing, cover, the marketing. There's all these things. Even when you have a partner who's doing that side of the work, there's so much where your name is on the cover. Shit has to be right. It's got to be fucking right. Sean P. Diddy Combs is absolutely right. It has to be right if your name is on it. So there's such a huge level of stress that goes into the final stages of a book, the vinegar strokes of a book, if you will. And then there's, of course, also the amount of time that takes. So to me, when you actually finish a book, you have taken time away from your family, which is A, and my pups. You've taken time away from your family to be completely focused on 87 tasks for probably it's about a 2-week period to finish a book, get all the stuff done till it's completely out of your hands. So what you do in my world is you get a bottle of champagne and you celebrate with the ones you love. So I celebrate, I get champagne and I get champagne. We hang out on the couch and do goddamn nothing. The dogs get, what do they get? What is their toy?
Champagne.
They get champagne.
And Mama Chewit swine, since Reese is Jewish.
We are so square. We have 2 dog toys that only come out at the end of a book.
We'll show you next week.
They only come out at a bookend. And we pull them out, and then it's me and A on the couch,
with champagne,
some candles, some pups, no TV, and we sort of just sit there. It's like the end of a Siglerverse, and we just like go, that's it. We just stare off into the far distance and do nothing. That is how I celebrate the end of a book.
And once more again, and I know we're super late and then we'll sign off, but once more again, I will say any single one of you who is a writer here in this chat room right now or watching this later or listening to this on the podcast, make sure you celebrate the win. Because here's the thing. The Gangster has been done literally for almost 3 years. And that was the work that got us here. That was the work that got us you guys. That was the work that got us this story. That was the work. It got done. Is the project finished? No. Is it worthy celebrating that he finished his part? 100%. Because there's going to be a lifetime of adjusting that or changing the cover or fixing typos or whatever. And you must
Good night, Nelson.
celebrate the beautiful thing you did, because that's the one chance you get when it's beautiful before you show it to everybody and they're like, why didn't you choose a red cover?
The world of writing is largely a world of stress, hatred, anger, and excitement. All these things going on, and if you write 20 novels in your life, which is a lot of novels, and say you live to be 70, that's 20 days. 20 days where you have to give yourself permission to be like, you know what? I'm chilling the fuck out. I'm going to get high. I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to hang out with this beautiful redhead. I'm going to pet my pups and just cush out on the couch and be done. Because as soon as that's done, there's all the next story you got to write is waiting for you the next day. At most, A is maybe occasionally you need to take a week off and play video games. It's very hard to do. Done that a couple times.
Literally in the empty set
celebrate.
rule book, he has to take 2 weeks off if he finishes a novel that's bigger than 150,000
Thank you,
words.
Tracy.
And
Cheers,
you guys
Tracy.
all know
All right.
everything is 150,000 words or more.
I have no idea how many questions we got through because the Siglers are a wordy pair of motherfuckers, for sure. We do words. It's what we do. We know words. We shill words. We sling words. Baby, let's finish this. We're past, an hour and a half. Let's do it.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Kim.
guys, normally, so if you are listening to the podcast, we are done. Please come back next week for part 2. We have another 90 minutes of questions specifically about the Gangster or the Siglerverse. Spoilers abound. Please come join us. It'll be in your feed a week from this coming Sunday. It'll all be great. And then we'll move on to the Stonewolves. If you are here with us, you know how we end every Sigler in place. And it's always the same. I have to actually call it up now.
It's been a year and a half, girl. You got to look it up.
I know. I mean, I don't know the order. Do you know the order?
I know the order. If you have questions about the world of the Siglerverse, you can send those to info@emptyset.com. Until next week, we want you all to stay safe.
We want you to stay science, you guys.
We want you to stay smart.
We want you to stay smart.
We want you to stay science. And for the love of science, I forgot.
We need you to stay informed.
We need you to stay informed. We have warned you from square one. From square one. This shit ain't done. The moo-moo is on the horizon. Pay attention. The moo-moo is looking to smack you in the privates.
Mr. Tracy Shank just said also
Y'all stay Sigler. You sexy motherfucker.
You sexy motherfucker.
Oh my goodness. You
We'll
can
be back
tell
next
Richard didn't show up today. We're like, we get to swear and stuff.
I know.
But that is all the business. We'll be back next week. We'll do one more Q&A. I will try and do a better job of not being quite so verbose so we can get through all of your questions. If we miss your questions in the chat room, we apologize. Just email those to info@emptyset.com. We will get to them next week and not This week, not next week, but the week after, we begin the magnum opus of over-the-top endings of a book that you have ever read in your goddamn life. No one in the history of fiction or literature has accomplished what I accomplished at the end of the Stone Wolves. And I will tease you this. I will tease you this, you son of a bitch.
Brown chicken, brown cow.
As impressive as the end of the Stone Wolves is, it's impressive. Don't get me wrong. The world champion of book endings will be GFL 8. You jabroni. You don't even know what's coming for you. It'll smack you about the face in the midriff. And when you finish, you will stop reading for the rest of your miscreant life because you no longer care. Because you have been serviced to a point you can never be serviced again. I will ruin you. Baby, take us out.
Nobody mentioned being serviced. Oh, it's a family show. We love you. We'll see you next week. This is going to be in the podcast feed on Sunday. Send in your questions. And, until next week.
I love you all. You're all fabulous.
Let's
wait. I got to wait. Right. We're going to.
Oh, we're going to do it.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Let's switch.
We got to do
switch
the
back.
thing.
This is called Scott Cam.
Continuity.
This is Scott Cam. If you'll notice, we're on A Cam all the goddamn time because that's the moneymaker. Ready, baby? Kiss you up, Scott.